Hi, and welcome to the In the Wrong Bed Darts podcast. I'm your host, Justin Wagler, and always with me is my co-host, Jonathan Sokol. And we're coming up on, now that the World Championships are done, we are coming up on the Premier League, and the Masters is the first major of the year. First off, we'll start talking about the Premier League and kind of what the future now. The favorite at 275 plus 275. And then you got Littler at plus 300, MVG at 350, Gerwin Price at 650, Smith at 800, Rob Cross at 1,000, Asp at 2,000, and Peter Wright all the way at the bottom at plus 3,500. We see why those odds are for Peter Wright, but I don't know, Jonathan, what do you think is might hold some value in these?
Yeah, I've still been looking at Rob Cross to be the best value on the board out of everyone there. His performance has been good lately, outside of a couple matches where he seems to lose it and blow things, but overall, he's the most consistently high performing player in that lower half or the of the higher tier odds, I guess, which is something I like to at least look at for putting a little money on for some value.
Yeah, I is always good about Rob Cross's games. He's usually very consistent. So he's going to be, right around the mid to high 90s pretty consistently. His checkouts usually don't fail him too often. Um, and that's the kind of thing, like you need consistency throughout the Premier League. It's just, you got to win. The key is honestly winning your first match. Your first match is worth
Oh
two
yeah.
points. Winning your second match is three. And then obviously you get five for winning it all. It's first match, sneak out the second match. Incidentally, the way they have it cooked, the second match, the semifinal match, is only worth one additional point. So it's
Uh,
a little bit worthless, than the first round. So
yeah.
winning your first rounds are consistently is key. If you can do that, I think, once you get into the final four, uh, it's anyone's game. No one should be a big favorite once you get to the top half.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and it's in addition to Cross, it's hard to deny. It'll be interesting to see, I guess, how Littler really does playing week after week in the Premier League, and whether he wears out. He's even talked about that some, and is wondering if he's going to start wearing down. But I guess,
Yeah, and especially because on the European, if he's going to do the European Tour tournaments, which are typically the Friday, Saturday, Sunday after the Premier League, that's a real hectic back of week schedule,
yeah,
especially for a 17-year-old. So it'll be interesting to see, to kind of preserve his longevity. I think he'll probably prioritize the Premier League and the majors over anything else. So we'll see how he kind of does load management later in the year. For me, it's also tough to go against MVG at any one point.
oh
For
yeah,
some reason, one, he's won it so many times, but two, for whatever reason, he always just seems to really care about the Premier League. Like he
yeah,
holds us in very high esteem.
yeah. Maybe he's a soccer fan, so he likes.
And I think
I
that
mean,
he's gonna end up, yeah. Yeah, maybe that's it. Like for some reason, he always plays well in the Premier League. He really wants to win this tournament, and so he does. He's tends to be very good about keeping his eyes on the prize here. So
yeah,
I,
doesn't want to get
I
relegated,
yeah,
for next year.
exactly. Yeah, I don't think
Uh-huh.
he'll fall out of the top four, but the Premier League, you're out of the top four. You're not guaranteed to get in the next year. Not
Yeah,
everyone wants to see MVG. But incidentally, the reason why Peter Wright's still in it after last year. It's just
yeah.
everyone wants to see Peter Wright.
You got to think if if we had seen the Peter Wright that we're seeing the last few weeks at the time that they were making that Premier League choice, I think it'd be tougher and tougher to make sure that he gets in. But you never know. He's he's been known to turn it on kind of out of nowhere and win a tournament here or there. So he could
Yeah,
have
exactly.
an
It's
upswing.
not his game's not completely gone. It's
Yeah.
it's just really his past year hasn't been great, and so he's very vulnerable. I would say the thing is about the Premier League. it's like the Masters series, like the US Darts Masters, the Dutch Darts. They want to see their favorite guys in this.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
necessarily care if they're the top guys. It's why like Gary Anderson's been in the Premier League, even when he wasn't the top guy, he's still a fan favorite, so people want to see him. And the same holds true for Peter Wright. He's one of the most popular dart players, which is why he's still there. He has a real bad showing in the Premier League and
Yeah.
overall this year. It's going to get tougher and tougher to keep him up in there.
Yeah. But it's fun to it's fun having him in there, seeing what he's gonna wear every week and what color his
Exactly.
darts are
People
gonna
love
be.
seeing him. He's a great guy. Everyone loves
Yeah.
seeing what he's going to wear. He is an entertainer.
Yeah.
But I did notice he was a -110 favorite to finish at the absolute bottom of the Premier League. So you can
I
kind
know,
of tell
that's
where everyone thinks his game
crazy.
is.
Yeah. Those kind of odds, I mean,
Relative now.
yeah.
But
If
you're kind of thinking at 3,500, if he can somehow squeeze into the top four, it's anyone's game when you get into the top four. It really is. Like there's not that much separating these people that they can't win two matches. Like that's all
Yeah.
once you get into the top four, that's all you're asked to do is win two matches. And any one of these guys can do it, which is also why I'm a little bit intrigued about Asp plus 2,000.
Yeah.
I know tough his game recently,
He has. I
but he
haven't
is
loved
good enough.
recent
Like, would you be
play.
completely
Yeah.
shocked if he won this?
No, so I do think it's on the table. He's got some shot at taking it home, and with those kind of odds based on his recent play, that's the thing about Premier League. It lasts for so long that recent play, especially when you're dealing with the futures at the beginning, that's going to play a part. But who knows what people's form is going to be, 6-7 weeks from now. So.
It's very similar to the ebbs and flows of an NFL season. Like there's some teams that are just really good. You even look at, right before the Super Bowl now, you look at the Niners and they had a dip in the middle of the season. They lost 3 straight. They weren't playing well. They were all banged up. There's various reasons they weren't doing well. And then, by the end, they kind of ride the ship and,
found their way to
the Super Bowl. Yeah. And it's kind of the same thing. Like the Premier League's long enough season where Chris Dobie ended up winning the first night last year and then ended up not making the final four, ended up in 7th place. So it's kind of, you really have to have some sort of like just consistently good game, which is why I think we both landed on Rob Cross.
Exactly. I know he doesn't seem to have those dips. Like,
he rarely except except Raymond van Barneveld, the Dutch Darts Masters.
Screwed us on that one.
Yeah, he really did screw us out, winning that first match comfortably, I might add, and just pissed it away. But that does happen to him. It's just on the whole, he's just fairly level. So I think that's why we both like him going into this, is at least having value at plus 1,000.
Right. Of course, like Littlers and Humphreys and MVG are all showing consistency, but you're having to pay for the favorite odds there, and so it just seems like Rob Cross is almost at that level, but he's not given the respect from the bookmakers just yet for that.
Yeah, exactly right. And so with that, we're probably going into looking at our first night's matchups and see, if there's anything that we like. Premier League, the first night Premier League is always great. Honestly, I can't remember where it is this time. I actually think it's in Wales.
Cardiff, so, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's in Cardiff. So last year, I think both of them in Wales. There's 1 or 2 in Wales. I know he won one of them in Wales. So he really enjoys playing there because it's actually honestly the only time he doesn't get booed most of the time. So I think he really does enjoy playing like the home games there. Which I don't know if there's a bet for winning the first night, but he's not a terrible bet to win the first night.
Okay,
I would say. But starting off with him, when you look at him against Aspinall is about a plus 200. I don't know what to think of this game because Asp isn't playing his best,
Yeah.
but 260 is a real heavy price, no pun intended. Um, and it just that feels like a lot. Even as if you give him a leg and a half, it's still minus 145. That's
Yeah,
still a lot of juice to pay to win by margin.
I know that it is. And this is the only match of the first night that I don't have a really good feel on. I think it's a toss up. Uh I do think Price comes out with the victory, but I don't I think it could be close. And so I don't love having to pay minus 260 or minus 140 for the minus 1.5 spread either. And when it doesn't feel like it's that uh, sure of a victory for him. So this is one that I'm actually staying
Yeah,
away
I
for
wonder
the
if
week.
this is getting pumped up. I wonder. Yeah, I agree. I, yeah, I agree. I think I'm going to stay away from it. Although I do, with the caveat, I wonder if it's getting pumped up because it is in Cardiff. And
Mm,
so, seeing as a big home favorite, I wonder if people have decided, might have pulled him into the realm where S plus 200 actually might be the better value if you're going to take it. But I don't know. I'm with you on this. I just think I'm going to stay away from this one.
yeah, maybe this is one I need to spend a little time tomorrow checking in on that Gervin Price's performance in Wales to see if it has uh boosted him up into a higher level whenever he's
I
played
mean,
there before.
yeah, that's actually a good thing to look at. Like, it's an interesting thing just with darts in general to see, people getting pumped up by the home crowd. Like,
Yeah,
it's not just what it does for the home crowd, as it does to your opponent when they start jeering you. And you get, like, I think it's almost less of, I want to perform for the home crowd, because Michael Van Gerwen, like, he did win the Dutch Darts Masters, but you know what? He doesn't. I think it was the year before. I think he flamed in that very tournament. He flamed down in the quarterfinals.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's not always like, I think like Gabriel Clemens is the same way in Germany. Doesn't always play particularly well in Germany,
Put too
even
much
though it's his
pressure
home
on
crowd.
yourself, maybe. Yeah,
Precisely. That's exactly it. You might be putting too much pressure. So, that could be a problem. But I think that the value comes in, like, does the crowd like get on, the opponent's case,
yeah,
being the road crowd. And you do see that especially in the Euro tournaments, less so in the Premier League, because other than maybe get Gerwin Price, everyone seems to like everyone in the Premier League. So
true.
they'll get a boost from the home crowd, but less anti-boost, if you want to call it that, from the underdog.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes-
No. The other night, so as we were talking earlier, so Rob Cross's line against Peter Wright's about minus 300, minus 290, plus 220 on Wright, but with like a minus 150, and that has been moving all week,
Mhm.
because I think it started off at minus 130 on Rob Cross, minus leg and a
Oh
half.
man, yeah. And so I was a little late to the party there. I did get some
And I
minus
think
150.
with Peter Wright.
Yeah, there. But now,
And
yeah,
actually,
no,
I ended up taking it at minus 145.
okay.
And I think it's just, man, Peter Wright's just been playing so bad
He
right
has.
now.
I've just been looking for ways to bet more on Rob Cross here, actually.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
So
I know. It kind of worries me a little bit that I like it a little bit too much.
I know.
And even I'm
I,
actually taking a little bit of minus 2.5 at plus 110. I think that, especially if, it's always a coin flip what happens if Rob Cross wins the bull. I think him breaking once is definitely
exactly.
going to
Yeah,
happen.
for
And
sure.
breaking once, unless it's the last leg, will get you minus 1.5. If you're on, you start off on throw, you're gonna win by 2.5. I just think Peter Wright's game is just not like that, to the point where I like I think I can't remember who he played in the Dutch Darts Masters straight off. He ended up losing 6-2,
Did he
and he
was
didn't even look in it the entire time. He would just look lost out there.
yeah, he definitely feels lost, and it hasn't been a great run for him going back to the worlds as well. He did not do particularly well. So one of the things that I actually ended up
Yeah, I think he
liking,
switched.
yeah, exactly. So I was just checking. So in the Dutch Dart Masters, Peter Wright ended up uh, going down to Kevin Duetz. That's what it was.
Oh yeah, that's right. He
Yeah.
lost to Kevin Dude 6-2, and
So
like, yeah, he did not look in it at all. That's another game actually. I took Dutes at
dude,
margin, which,
sorry.
yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
yeah, it looks like that's incorrectly.
No, I know.
But
Too
I
much
actually
hooked on
took him at
phonics for me.
no, no,
So
believe me, but I actually took him -1.5, but plus 310 because I just figured Peter Wright's been playing that way, and Kevin Dudes really acquitted himself well at the World Championships. He looked good,
yeah, he was playing well.
and
Yeah.
he's playing really well. So it did not surprise me that um that he beat Peter Wright at all, and especially that Peter Wright it's looking. He just looks he's got troubles, like he's consistently troublous visits all
Yeah.
the time. He just looks like he doesn't know what to do up there.
Yeah.
He can't he just can't find the range at this point. So this is why we're both on Rob Cross.
Yeah.
This
I
is probably our biggest bet this week. Actually, is Rob Cross minus
definitely.
1.5.
I think that's the first matchup, so I think we'll know pretty quickly if it's gonna where I'm gonna be making money that
We're gonna
day
know
or
real
not.
quickly how good our night is gonna be
Yeah.
if Rob Cross does not win by 6-4 better. We know we're gonna call trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
even
and
have
the next
a
match was Gerwin Price. So
yeah.
maybe it'll give us
Oh,
a break, either breathing time or time for us to chase our losses real quick.
yeah. Might have to come up with something for that one. But one of the bets that I also liked on the Rob Cross Peter Wright match was out of the first four legs, Rob Cross to at least break once and be leading after four legs. That's at plus money, and I just think he's going to come out of the gate. Peter Wright's still going to be lost, and he'll be up 3-1 after that, 4-0. I have no faith in Peter Wright in this match, and Rob Cross has at least been consistent enough that he's gonna come through. And I did put a little on Rob Cross 6-2 to win, so that's what I'll be rooting for here.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I agree. He's going to win by margin, and you're right. It's probably going to be, especially, and you're right, especially if he if Peter gets down 3-1, and if Cross is on throw at 3-1 to make it 4-1,
Mm,
that's going to be bad. That's going to be
yeah,
really bad because he just like it seems like he just can't catch up in matches. And
yeah.
it just eluded him for too long at this point. So yeah, I like that. I do like that bet. The other bet I incidentally like is the under um five and a
Nine and a
half
half.
180s.
Oh,
No,
oh,
under
five
five and
and
a
a
half
half. All right.
180s.
Yeah.
Like I just like Cross isn't a hitter. Wright hasn't found his range. I think I'll put a little bit on that as well because I don't think there's gonna
I
be
like
enough
that
legs in the
too.
match for it to catch up. Because I think there's gonna be maybe like 9 legs tops. I think this is gonna be 6-3 or worse for Cross.
Yeah,
So
that's a really good one because to me, Cross doesn't hit enough 180s. And Peter Wright certainly hasn't been hitting enough lately. So
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Next match is actually MVG versus Michael Smith, and minus 230 to MVG right now, plus 1 cent. I don't like Michael Smith's game right now. Like he feels like he gets very flustered very easily. And he gets like he seems to like if he doesn't have it at the beginning, like he just kind of loses it. It's either he's gonna win or and be very close, or he's gonna lose 6-2. There doesn't
yeah,
seem to be much in between with him right now.
yeah, I don't trust him at all against the top players right now, who I view as like MVG, Luke Humphreys, Littler, and Cross. Honestly, are kind of like my top four. And I
Mhm.
think Michael Smith is playing at a lower level than those four. So anytime he's going up against those at the moment, I'm definitely going the other way. So
Yeah, and you look at it like I think we both like MVG minus 125, minus 1.5
yes.
legs.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good bet for me. I think that
Me
um
too.
obviously he won the Dutch Darts Masters. He's been playing well. Not peak MVG standards,
He's
but
close.
he's been playing still enough that still, a few dart average, a few point average above Michael Smith is. And in a race to six, I just think Michael Smith, if he doesn't, quite find his game early, he runs out of runway on it. Like he can get back. Like now, if this is a first to 10 match or something like that, like you might see in the Masters, it might be a little bit different. Like you can get behind a few legs and still kind of come back. Yeah, first to six, you're not gonna, you just don't have the runway to actually come back. If you're down, 4-1, it's just not going to happen that time. These guys are like, everyone's usually too good and too on their game in
Yeah.
the Premier League for that to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I really don't like taking once the money lines get minus 200 and above. I like moving. Actually, honestly, minus 150, minus 160 and above. I like moving to the minus 1.5. Just I don't know if it's more of a you feel comfortable with the payback and on those, and how often the 6-5 games really happen. So I did do a simulation on the two exactly even players. How often would it happen for either one of them to win 6-5, whoever's on throw, who's not on throw? It's actually 16% the on throw person win 6-5, and then 9% the off throw person would win 6-5. So there is a 25% chance of a 6-5 game happening. But I guess it depending on if he's on throw or off throw, you're only losing either 16 or 9% off of your bet there by taking the minus 1.5.
Mhm.
If that
Yeah,
makes
that's
sense or
actually
not,
really
but
good info because it's funny because with the Premier League, since first to sixth, the totals are going to inevitably 9.5, and then it'll be juiced usually to the under 9.5
mhm.
on unders. Um, Incidentally, speaking of the next match, the final match is Littler versus Humphreys. And this is one of the rare times I really like the over 9.5 on this. They've been playing so
Oh
close,
yeah.
not just
Oh
the
man.
championship. They went 6-4 in the Dutch Darts Masters. Um, it's it's flat, over 9.5 flat. And I really like these, they just always seem to be like they're both at the top of the game. They both want to win.
They
They
are.
both care. And so I think this is gonna be a really close match. And so I my bet on that would actually 110 or 115.
Yeah, I love the over on that one too. And one of the things, if you look at their averages, their 1 month and 3 month averages, they're virtually the same for that time frame. And so I just think they are going to play a close match. They have been playing close matches, and going over is the easiest way to make a little money on that match. But yeah, they're both almost exactly at
Yeah, I totally.
just over 100 for the 3 month average and just over 101 for the 1 month average, like almost exact.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, yeah, they're just both playing like out of their minds for the most part, and it's tough to pull. When two players are playing like that, and you're like, okay, I've got to pick a side on this. I like the dogs
oh,
because I
exactly.
just I,
Yeah.
I just think like, right now, like it's been fluctuating back and forth. Like it's minus 120 favorite on DraftKings against minus 110, but I think the other day it was actually flipped. I think
Hmm.
some of the late money's coming on Littler. Um, and you know what? This is really is a coin flip game to the point where I wouldn't even. I take the over 9.5, and honestly, like I would probably take the dog minus 1.5 because you'll probably get
Mm.
on that minus one, plus 150 or plus 160.
You're right. Yeah, and just like we talked about, there might
if
be
you think an 8.5.
some good value there actually.
Yeah. And so like the likelihood is going to be, a 6-4 win by somebody is my prediction on that. And it's probably in who it's going to be. I don't know. But if you like one over the other, take the -1.5, and get yourself some plus money out of it. Cause they usually charge you about 75 cents a leg.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to half or +1.5, I should, or
Yeah.
-1.5. And so like, if you like one of them, I'd take the -1.5, but if not, I think there's good money to be had, good value to be had in over 9.5
Yeah.
happening. I can easily see this game going 6-4 to either of these players, or even 6-5.
Definitely. That's my favorite. I ended up leaning some on Littler, so that but definitely the over 9.5 is the main bet, and then a little bit on Littler is my lean for this one. Only because,
Yeah,
like you mentioned,
exactly.
he was a bit of a dog when I first pulled up the odds and was making bets. So,
Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, it's funny that it's kind of flipped now. And I just think it's going to be throughout the year, unless one's playing particularly better than the other, which honestly I don't see happening. This seems like a budding rivalry already,
oh, I
after
know.
just 2 matches.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm really excited to watch this.
Yeah, he's got the same thing going with MVG too. I mean, two finals in a row, and each have won
Yeah,
one now. So
I don't know. Yeah, if
it's
you
going to be
watch the
pretty
Dutch,
cool.
it was amazing when you watch the Dutch Darts Masters. MVG really wanted to beat Luke Littler.
Oh yeah,
But you
he
could
did
tell,
not.
like in that first game against Vincent van der Voort, he just wanted to get through it. I know it's his friend and whatnot, but he just kind of wanted to get through that match, and he was kind of, playing well, but not his peak performance. But you know, when he starts motioning, like after he hits doubles and hits like 180s, he really wants to win that match. He's
Mhm.
really into it. And you saw that with Luke Littler. And I don't know if he was pissed from the last time that Littler beat him in Bahrain, or if it was just like maybe he's backs up the ball. He feels a little threatened that, his
Yeah,
top dog status is slipping away, and he just wanted to show this kid something. But he really
yeah.
cared.
Especially in
You could
front of the
tell
home crowd too. He
that
can't let
too.
him come in there and win the Dutch Masters right after Bahrain. So,
Yeah, and it's funny. Littler had kind of a little bit of a nonplussed look, maybe is the way I was like, he knew he was against it and he lost, but it always felt like he's like, yeah, I'll be back. There'll be other times.
yeah,
Like, let him
yeah.
have it. So you can see how high his confidence is in his ability, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
Before we leave, we want to take a quick look, obviously, at the Masters coming up this weekend as well. I want to just talk about the futures on this. Um, Humphreys is the lead, plus 190, which is, that's really, really high. Luke Littler is not in this tournament. You do have to be in the top 24 to make this, and he just came on a little too late, even though he's in the
Mhm.
top 32 to make this tournament. But I don't know, Jonathan, what do you think are some interesting plays possibly for this?
So for me, I was looking at Chris Dobie, Joe Cullen as some potential guys to go deeper in the tournament. Um, they played really well during the World Championships, and both kind of lost tough matches in the way they went out. Both lost matches that I felt like they should
Mhm.
have won.
They both
And
should have thought they should
yeah,
have won too.
yeah,
Cullen was in tears after his last match.
exactly. And so I think that with their level of play and having that coming off of those rough losses, I'm hoping that uh, they could actually go deep into this major run here. So
Yeah, I'm really interested to see like how that affects them if they, rally, to themselves, or they just like it affects you for a long time. And some darts players does. I mean, those were crushing
that's
losses.
true. Yeah,
I mean, Dobie was up 3-0 in sets. Joe Cullen had 8 match darts to win against the eventual champion,
I
like
know,
of all things. And so he's sitting there thinking to himself, probably that could have been me.
I know, I know.
Like I had a shot to beat the champ.
Yeah, and he couldn't do it. I'm
champion,
hoping
and
for a
there's
big
any
bounce
effects on
back.
it. I mean, Joe Cullen was crushed for months after. Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I mean, Joe Cullen was also crushed after he lost the Premier League in a eerily similar situation to MVG, where he had I think three match starts to win it and didn't win. And MVG ended up beating him and it crushed Cullen for a little bit. So, I mean, there's a couple battle scars on him. The other one I like, and keep going back to actually put a pre-tournament on him, was Rob Cross at 11-1. I just and there, like, I think he can get, I think he, I think he's the sixth seed in this. And if he's able to, like, I just think he's able to do a lot of damage to get to the semifinals relatively easily. Relatively easily.
You like the bracket that he has, yeah, in the layout, yeah.
Yeah, the bracket he has is good, and if he gets through, he'll face MVG in the semis probably, and that's always a tough test. But it 1100, if he gets to that point, he would like he'll probably be down to like a plus 500 or so, 4 or
Yeah,
500,
you
I
can,
think.
and maybe you can lay off some of it, but I do feel like his path to the semifinals is pretty easy. So I wouldn't. I think that's a good idea, putting some on him at the beginning.
Yeah, one to me is Stephen Bunting. He's
Mm,
Stephen Bunting's was playing really well until I've got another MVG match that he just wanted to show someone who's boss, and that was the end
yeah,
of Bunting.
that's what I
Um,
worry about with Bunting, though. It seems like whenever he's up against the top level of guys, that he doesn't quite bring it to the table.
I don't know if it's something. You're right. Sometimes in that MVG match, he didn't bring it to the table clearly, but sometimes you just run into people that are outright better than you. Luke
Yeah,
Humphreys is better than Stephen Bunting. Like,
right.
that's just fact. I mean,
That's fair.
so it's a question of he's a plus 2200. His first round matches with Ross Smith, and he's only a minus 120 favorite, I think, against Ross Smith, where I would absolutely take Stephen Bunting to beat Ross Smith at that,
Oh,
and
for
I will be
sure.
taking him at that
Yeah.
price.
Yeah, I love
But
that.
I think he'll have to play Luke Humphreys in the second round, which is obviously daunting. But if he can get past that, I don't think that part of the bracket is actually too bad. Got the seed, and it's the Peter Wright is going up against either Clayton or Christoph Ratajski as the 8th seed.
Oh
And
man.
I was
Oh
like, none
man.
of those players are playing well enough to beat either Stephen Bunting or Luke Humphreys. So that's like a pass that they should get. If he can get past that, he'll get past that section, and then at
For
that point,
sure.
you're now into the semis, and um, could very well do. So I kind of find are probably my two most intriguing entries. It's tough with Humphreys at plus 190. Like, I know he's playing well, but he did get Lou Liggler did beat him in the Bahrain Darts Masters, so it wasn't like he's the shield of unbeatability, and he did lose
Right.
again. Like, so,
And he looked
I'm
like
sorry,
he
he
was
lost
going
to
to
the
lose
Dutch Darts Master. I'm
in the
sorry.
World Championships. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
he's
looks
not
vulnerable.
invincible.
Yeah.
He's not invincible. I mean, yeah, it's tough when someone wins four. It starts looking like MVG circa like 2016, where everyone was playing for second place.
Right.
And I don't think that's there with Humphreys yet. As well as he's playing, he's still, it is first to 10 in the second round. So you do have to beat him over distance, but he's not impossible to beat over distance.
Yeah.
And Bunting has a good enough game if he's playing well, could do it, I think.
Yep.
That's just too much. That's just way too much for him to. You're better off just playing him and just rolling over bets on him if you really like him to win it.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
That's about it for us. So we'll see. Our next podcast will probably be in a couple of weeks. We'll review the Darts Masters and also look forward to see what's going on in the Premier League. At that point, we'll be right before week 3.